Good morning, everyone. We're back into a new week on Tuesday, which is Canada Day today, so my guys are off, and I'm busy at work preparing the next major section of the auction, which this week is going to be New Zealand. So one area that I have to work on today, two major definitive sets, actually three. The Queen Victoria Postage and Revenue Sidefaces, which will be the subject of this quick video that I wanted to shoot. So those are the Queen Victoria stamps, surface printed, that came just before the pictorial issue of 1898. The most common stamp is the 1 penny Carmen, that you'll see in a lot of packets and a lot of beginners collections. But the set itself is actually quite complex. The best catalog for this clearly is Gibbons. Scott does a somewhat okay job with it, but I find the Gibbons listings do the best to parse out the paper differences and the perforation differences in the set. So the first thing with this set that Scott completely ignores is the direction of the paper weave. There's horizontal wove paper and there's vertical wove. The vast majority of the stamps are on vertical wove, but there are two printings on horizontal wove paper, and Gibbons lists both of them. The first one are the perf 12 by 11.5, which are the very first listings in the Gibbons catalog. Then later, in the early 1900s, there is a listing for the double-lined New Zealand and Star watermark on thick, soft Peary paper, and that paper is horizontal mesh as well. So when you're sorting these stamps, the very first thing you want to do is to sort out the horizontal versus vertical mesh. And the easiest way to do that is to take a stamp. I mean, you can look at the grain of the paper, but the easiest way to do it is to just take the stamp gently between your thumb and forefinger and try bending it very, very lightly. And the direction it bends most easily in is the direction of the paper weave. So once you've separated those out, you've got those two printings parsed out. The next thing you need to do are to check the perfs. Now, I've done a sort this morning. I'm just going to show you what I've done here, and you'll be able to see for yourself. Take the tripod, move it down here so you can see what we've done. Okay, hopefully you can see that. So what I've done here is I've taken the main values of the set, which, if you look, I've got from the halfpenny black all the way down to the shilling red brown. And I've arranged them by perforation across. So 10 here, 10 by 11, 11 down the main row here, 11 by 10, and 12 by 11.5. So 12 by 11.5, 11, and 10 are the common perforations. The compound 10 by 11 is somewhat common. We can see here that this 11 by 10 is not common. It's an unusual perf. And the 12 by 11.5 is the first perf that's listed. And all of the stamps that are here are on the vertical wove paper. I had earlier separated out a small group here, which were on the Peary paper, that with the double-lined watermark. So now that having sorted these, my next step is to go through and to look for the adverts on the back of the stamps. Now you may, if you're familiar with this set and you have experience with it, then you know that the stamps can be found with adverts printed on the back. And I think, if memory serves me right, I've got some 2.5 penny or 2 penny stamps with adverts. So I'm just going to quickly check here the 2.5 penny to see if I have any. Okay, it wasn't on that one. This 2 penny here, the Perf 10s, I think I had some here. Now, one of the things you're going to notice as you go through and you sort these is that the perforations are quite rough. It's very, very common on these issues to have 1 or 2 short perfs. If you're really, really fussy about perfs, this is probably not the set for you, because it's very, very difficult to find intact perforations all the way around. Centering tends to be very atrocious on these. So again, it's not really a suitable set for somebody who's fussy about centering either. If those two things don't bother you too much, then you can have a lot of fun with this issue. Okay, so here we've got an ad. Creases, dandelion, coffee cures indigestion. And it's a brown-purple ad. Here you can see 2 pencil marks across the ad here. That's been added by somebody trying to check the watermark. On these stamps, they come with the Crown and New Zealand watermark. I don't know if I can show it here very easily, but I'll do it with fluid. The watermark, I'm just going to grab my tray. So I'll do it here. Just put it here for now. The standard watermark used for New Zealand stamps up to 1936 from the 1880s is this Crown and New Zealand watermark. Or sorry, not Crown, Star in New Zealand, Star in NZ. So you can see here NZ, which reads backwards, and the star. So there's a gap in between the bottom of the NZ and the star. And it's this distance here that a lot of specialists will measure. The stamps can be found with distances that vary between 4 millimeters and 7 millimeters. Gibbons doesn't, for this set, really list any significant differences. But I think if you look in Campbell Patterson for New Zealand, I think you'll find that there are differences listed for the different watermarks. So there's a brown purple creases ad, and there's different settings of the ads depending upon where the base of the ad appears in relation to the stamp. So Gibbons talks about on the first setting, vertical format, which this is here, were inverted in relation to the stamps. Well, they're not here. This is the right side up. So it says second and third settings, vertical advertisements are the same way up. Okay, so this is a second or third setting ad. It says the bases of those in horizontal format were at the right as seen from the back. The third setting differs from the second in order of the individual advertisements. So here, the base of this is Yeah. It certainly looks to be over on the left. But it's the same side up. So I'm a little bit confused as to which this is. If I look in the actual catalog listing, I can see under the Perf 10 for this. So there's red, brown, first setting, brown, red, second and third settings, which that could be brown, red. But there's also red, brown, first setting. But that's not a first setting ad. That's definitely, it's definitely second or third because it's the same side up as the stamp. So I think that's a second or third setting ad. And there's a couple of others I saw on here as I went through. The shades also vary within each stamp, so you'll have to look carefully as you're going through at differences in color. Like for instance here on the 3 penny, I can see, that's a very clear yellow, but there's some orange yellows in here, and those probably will be listed in Gibbons. The other thing are the dies. So on the 2 penny there are 3 dies, dies 1 through 3, and on the 1 penny there's 3 dies. So those will have to be looked at as well. Some of the stamps in the set are very, very common. The 1 penny and the 2 penny in the Perf 11 and the Perf 10, I think, are penny stamps, basically. The 12, most of the stamps in this Perf here are pretty good. What you don't see here are Perf 12 and a half or compounds involving 12 and a half. I don't have any. Those are all very, very good stamps. If you look in Gibbons, there's also compounds with 11 and a half, and those are all really, really good stamps, and at least 30 or 40 pounds a stamp, up to hundreds of pounds for each stamp. So those perfs are the thing to look out for. These are the common perfs that you would find with any large accumulation of these stamps. Fiscal cancels are pretty common on some of the higher values. So here, that's a fiscal cancel there. You can see there's a pen cancel. There is a CDS here, but it's most likely a law court type of thing. That's a revenue cancel. That's an insurance company with a manuscript cancel. So those are much less value than the postal cancels. Typically, I mean, the general rule of thumb for British Commonwealth is about 10% of catalog, usually, for revenue cancels. Sometimes a little bit less, sometimes a little more if they're cheaper stamps to begin with, but generally high values that are fiscally used are worth about 10%. So I'm just going to turn that back up. And just so that covers just a general sort of this issue. Later today, I'm going to be working on the George V set with the Perkins Bacon engraved portrait. That's a pretty easy set to sort. It's really just perforations that you're looking at there, and sometimes there's differences in the watermark. The big one, which I might do a video on later, is the 1936 to 47 pictorial issue, which covers both the George V reign and George VI, with the difference being the single star and NZ watermark versus the multiple. often very difficult for novices to separate because the appearance on the stamps is very, very similar in terms of how the watermark appears. And there are tricks and techniques to being able to sort those stamps even without looking at the watermark. There's a lot of perforation differences on that set, and a very big difference in catalog price between the 1935 set and the later 1936 to 48 set. So anyway, I'll be back with that hopefully in the next day or two, but I just wanted to get a quick video out to show you a little bit on sorting this issue and just what I'm working on today. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.